So today I'm making up for yesterday's live stream, and I don't know how long this is going to be. We're just going to go until this is over. But what I wanted to talk about is just like there's a lot of stuff that goes on with homelessness, and this is something I've had to sit back and explain to Farm Girl because she's never really experienced homelessness, especially the way that I've experienced homelessness and being a nomad and all over the place and all this other stuff. Being homeless can be it's its own beast because you got to realize I'll give you some perfect examples. I was telling my old man this. People wonder why I'm very apprehensive about my dog. Well, the reason why I'm apprehensive about my dog is because when you're homeless, everybody else believes that they have the right to be able to tell you how to manage your dog as if it's their dog. And it's like, hey, what's up, Kung Fu? As if it's their dog. And so I'm sitting in a McDonald's, Sam's spazzing out, I'm telling her to sit, and I'm being stern with her, and this guy just turns around, picks a fight, manager comes over, and manager kicks me out because I'm homeless. And so not only does this guy get his vindication, to be a Karen and do all this other stuff, but as a homeless person, you have no credibility, you have no rights. Society looks down on you. Society looks at you as their personal whipping boy. I mean, there are many instances where there is a lot of predatory behavior towards the homeless, but yet there is no real recourse. I mean, there is a lot of there's a lot of I don't know, things that go on. So, for example, I have talked about there was a time when I was in San Antonio, and in order to sleep, because I was on a bed of rocks, there was no padding, and well, sometimes to fall asleep, you just got to get drunk. And those of you that know that I don't like alcohol. I'm not really a big fan of it. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So I'm sitting there, I pounded a 40 real quick so that I could sleep on this bed of rocks because it was the only place. It's the middle of winter in San Antonio, and in a lot of ways it's a lot like what we're dealing with here in Arizona. And and so I have this church group come up, and they start they say, come on with us. I'm like, nah, I'm drunk, you don't want me, da da da. They're like, yeah, no, you sober up, we'll take care of you in the morning. And they took anything of mine that they decided that they didn't like or didn't want in their establishment, and threw it away without my permission. Not only that, it was a cult. They were a bunch of holy rollers, and if you didn't holy roll with them, they would from what the kids were telling me is that they would start beating you with a stick after a while. If you looked at if because it was co-ed, if guys looked at girls or girls looked at guys, again, they would cane you for doing that. I mean, it was very extreme. And then they would take the homeless out there in order for them to be able to retain their place in this, because sometimes you get to that point where, like, I just want a warm bed, a warm shower, and a hot meal. And so sometimes you end up getting forced into situations that force you to compromise. So what they do is they send these homeless out to panhandle for donations for this cult so that they can keep growing. But the thing is what they're doing is so ancient. It's like the Puritans on steroids in a lot of ways. Thanks, Jeremy. Those are not Christians. Well, they call themselves Christians, and they're all over San Antonio and Dallas now. So if you see these homeless people and you live in that area, you see these homeless people that are like, hey, donation, church, God, all that. Chances are they're associated with that cult, because that cult is expanding through Texas. It's things like that. These are the types of predatory behaviors that the homeless generally have to deal with on a regular basis. The thing is at any point in time, yeah, no worries, Kung Fu. At that point in time, anybody can do anything to you. And when another example is, okay, This is the Christian church again. It's actually the Catholic Church. The whole original mission statement of the Christian is to take care of the poor, the downtrodden, and the weary traveler. You know, they were the community support organization. So the homeless, the maimed, the traveler, or whoever you may be, if you needed a place to stay, you would always go to a local church and they would take care of you. But then, you know, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and knowing this because I know my history. I went to go sleep on the Catholic Church's doorsteps. Well, there's a guy that absolutely hates the homeless, and so he would go around and he would find out how many homeless were there, and then he would call the cops, and the cops would show up at about 2 o'clock in the morning to harass you. Well, you know, I'm knowing more than the average Joe. Even at that point in time, you know, I'm taunting the cops, saying, "Well, show me what law that says that I can't be here. If you're gonna kick me off the church steps, then these guys need to have their 501c3 revoked, because they are no longer operating as a church under their original mission statement." And the cop just got in his car and ran off. Because of me that night, most of us didn't have to get up and go. The ones that were scared, that had warrants out or had other things that they had to worry about, they just got up and left. But once they saw me going, toe to toe with that cop, they went back there. But here's the thing, the average Joe will walk by and he can say anything about you. A great example, I was in Washington, D.C. Earlier last year, in June over the summer of last year. No, it's July. But anyways, as I went in to go see my representatives to go and see what kind of interviews that I could get on Capitol Hill on the homeless issue, especially, my whole goal was to speak to Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, both. One's, I believe, a representative from Kentucky, and the other one is the senator from Kentucky. Yes, well, I understand that, Kung Fu. Being kind doesn't require a religious affiliation, but you've also got to look at the mission statement. Just like the mission statement of a company. If a mission statement of the company is to be a positive impact within society, but yet they completely go against it, that you've got issues there. And I don't know what the legal part of it is, but I know that the average part of it is just, once you go against your mission statement, you cease to be the company and the brand and the household name that you said that you were. And a lot of the churches, and especially Christians and self-righteous Christians, they're generally the ones that are the most predatory and the most antagonistic towards the homeless. And those of you that know that I used to be Mormon, one of the things that really stuck with me in the Book of Mormon that I read is there's a sermon that's being given, and what he says is, the average person, a person that's well-to-do walks down the street and they see a beggar begging for food, begging for something to eat, and they sit there and thumb their nose at that poor person, because they think that the reason why they have what they have is because they're being blessed by God. But yet, and so therefore that person is poor because God is punishing them or penalizing them. And he brings to light that, are we not all beggars? We beg the sun for the light to be able to grow our food. We beg for the rain to be able to grow our food and to be able to drink water. And we ourselves are beggars. And so therefore the homeless and the beggar is actually a reminder that we ourselves are beggars to our creator. It doesn't matter what religion you are, that it's a truism, because without all of this stuff in play, we wouldn't be able to live, and we can't do it on our own, nor were we smart enough to be able to create it on our own. So therefore, through intelligent design, it was created for our benefit so that we could live and thrive. And again, the homeless are there to remind us of our humanity, to remind us that the best of us and the weak of us, the weakest of us, are both one and the same. Okay, now I really don't want to get on the whole religious thing, but if we're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna give my own personal thoughts and understanding from all of this. But the being homeless, you have so many people that will that have the ability to make your life miserable. Because like I said, when I went in to go talk to Representative Massey, I had stopped into the office of California to see who he was, to see if there was an opportunity, if he wanted to do an interview. I let him know that I was a content creator, all that other stuff. As soon as I turned around and I left, he told me, he called the what's up, Michael? Um, uh, but anyways, so as soon as I left, he called the Capitol Police, said that he was afraid of me, that there was a homeless guy in his office, and that the Capitol Police needed to come and get me. And so therefore, I had to get publicly humiliated, just because I'm walking around with a backpack on my back. Being of no threat to anybody, also stating that I'm a content creator and that I wanted to be able to interview on this specific subject. And instead, they're using their position to be able to call and say, I'm scared. And because I'm homeless and they're not, they have all the credibility and I don't. And so therefore, anything that they say is true, and anything that I say against that, it's just I'm perjuring myself, as they would say. And so therefore, as a homeless person, you don't necessarily get a lot of these rights. You don't get the same respect as a housed individual does. And so this really boils down to, again, our humanity. Why is it that because I'm homeless I have no credibility, but because you're housed and you're more likely to commit, major crimes like fraud and other white collar crimes? I mean, you can be just as dishonest as I am, but or as you say I am, but then you're given credibility because you have a money in your bank account and I don't. And this is where capitalism comes in. This is the ugly part of it, the part that we as a society find to be socially acceptable, to be able to treat the homeless individuals like this. And this is, you wonder why homeless are angry. You wonder why when they start talking, when you start when you see them, running around just angry, sometimes walking down the street just screaming. And because I've done it myself. It just, you walk away because there's nothing you can do. He may have thought you were Triple H and he was frightened. Yeah, that might have been true. But just it takes such a huge toll. And then people wonder, and then on top of all that, you got to be grateful for whatever you have, and you still got to show humility while you're being attacked by society because you're their public whipping boy. And so you have these you have the or you have the turmoil. So if you're ever going to be homeless, and those of you that are homeless just like me and have experienced it just like me, I'd love to hear your stories, especially in the comment section, for those of you that even watch it post live stream. Because the thing is, it's really really important that the society understands that the cruelties that they force us to endure, just because of their perceived notion that we're either drug addicts, junkies, mental health basket cases, or just lazy bums that just don't want to do anything, and that's simply not true. So and you wonder why the homeless are this angry towards. It's just kind of the way it is. So I know that some of you guys may not like this because this is kind of a hard subject to talk about. But this is something that as an individual, we definitely should have that conversation. Because the homeless, you wonder why they don't trust you. You wonder why they mistreat, or why they get contentious anytime you try and interact with them. And because I've seen the comments where people are like, yeah, the homeless people, they did this or they did this to me, and so on and so forth. And a lot of it is some of it may be retaliation, some of it may be the addiction, and some of it may just be overall frustration and misunderstanding. And so therefore it just creates more turmoil for us in the long term. So but anyways, guys, what do you guys think? We got we got the blankets up. The last night, hey dear, how So used a little bit of the heater last night, a couple times.
Getting real cold down for it.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be down to like under 10 degrees
Tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning.
9 degrees is what I said.
9 degrees. Oh wow, that's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a cold winter. That's another thing. You know, I thought November and December, because usually like December, that's kind of when it really works, and it hopefully this will pass pretty quickly. We had some hope that it was gonna get warm.
45. Yeah, 45, but it feels like 32 because of the wind.
32. Oh yeah, because the wind chill. What's the gust at? Like 15, 20 miles an hour?
It's only 8, but
It's all. Oh, okay. So yeah, because it wasn't that bad. So yeah, because I want to take a vacation from my 6 day a week work job. You know, um, Erie, if you really want to do something like that, you should. Thanks, Clyde. If you really want to do something like that, go hike a trail. Don't do the urban environment. Honestly, being on trail was more balancing for me than being in a city. Because when you're in a city, you have all this crap bombarding you. You have those that hate the homeless. You have all that other stuff. So, if you're gonna do something like that, just do a slow walk. Do 5, 10 miles a day, because a lot of the trails, the camps are about 10 miles apart. Just do 10 miles a day for a few months, and just slowly mosey along the way, and you'll have that'll be a better vacation than if you were to try and do the urban homelessness. Out of all the different types of homeless I've done, if you're just by yourself and you keep to yourself, being urban homeless is okay. It's not bad. When you start having others that are part of the mix, whether you're traveling with a group, what's up, Cherokee? Whether you're traveling with a group or whether you're traveling with an animal, or a pack, things become a lot more complicated, because the thing is a lot of people look at the homeless and think that, well, you're out here because you're a screw up, so I'm going to tell you how to live your life, not knowing the full. Oh, Pinhoti, definitely. Alabama side, I wouldn't do the Georgia side. Okay. And if you're gonna do the AT, yeah, just yeah, go if you want to do a long trip, because the Pinhoti, to do both sides, the Pinhoti, it will take you 30 days to do it 10 miles a day. Okay, it's like 350 miles. Okay, and there's a lot. Oh man, the Alabama side, you have so many waterfalls, so many waterfalls. It is so beautiful. But I wouldn't start going on the Pinhoti until at least April. The AT is nice, but the Pinhoti will the Pinhoti will get your legs acclimated to doing the AT, because the AT, it's like you're walking uphill all day every day, and at least on the Pinhoti you're walking uphill, then you walk a ridge line, and then you walk uphill a little bit, and then you got a ridge line. And on the Alabama side, you got switchbacks. On the Georgia side, it's just straight up and straight down. They're like, yeah, we're gonna make this as difficult as possible. Georgia really sucks on their trails, and it sucks that they have a section of the full AT, because the Pinhoti is technically supposed to be part of the AT, actually all the way down to the Blackwater Trail. If you really want to do like the full AT the way it was originally designed and intended, because I've got to see the history along the way. Now the Pinhoti, they're trying to keep separate from the AT. But the thing is without being attached to the AT, they won't get any popularity. It's a great trail, but it won't get any popularity. But the Blackwater Trail is where the Appalachian Mountains actually start. And so you start with rolling hills, and then you do the Alabama Road Walk, which is a 3 notches trail. Um, and yeah, it is brutal. I've done the Georgia side of the Pinhoti, and yeah, no, I can only imagine how bad Springer Mountain is. I've heard stories that people can't do more than 5 miles a day to start. But yeah, when it comes to trails though, I think that the Alabama side of the Pinhoti, like if I could just walk back and forth there, that would be great. But it's also far enough north. Glad to see you have a hard roof for the winter and future. Well, thanks, Hannah Lodge. I much appreciated. It took a long time to get here. It took a lot of people being kind. It took a lot of connections. It took a lot of good things. On your W-2, you put underemployed, gigolo, for employment. You know what? I probably should. Uh, you know, I thought losing all this weight would get me a lot more attention, but apparently not. So, but I don't know. It is what it is. But man, it's been a day or two. So, again, I just wanted this to be a short morning live stream, just so you guys know. Um, this is all of this is done by crowdfunding. You guys are the ones that are helping me. I'm still working my way out of homelessness. Just so you guys know, for those of you that think, okay, he's how he should be finding work and stuff like that. Well, first of all, YouTube is my full time job, but I'm having to understand that things are changing for me with YouTube, and so therefore I've got to, making AdSense isn't going to be where I make my money. It was never intended to be where I was going to make my money. My money was supposed to come through either crowdfunding or through brand deals, and a lot of YouTubers, they just have people approach them. So I was waiting for people to approach me, and it's just I'm getting talk, but I'm not getting anything that's actually coming into fruition that would actually pay me. So another thing is I've been homeless, chronically homeless for the last 25 years. I've got a lot of experience. There are students that are in college. There's 3 colleges here in Arizona, and I don't even actually have to be in person. I can actually do it right there in. Do it right there in online, just like we're doing it here. And so there's social service students and students that are going into or studying curriculum that will cause them to be uh, um, uh, to have to work on and manage and assist the homeless. And with my lived experience and the things that I've got to see over the last 25 years, and plus traveling all over the country, to be able to see the good things that there were and the bad things that there were, the things that worked and the things that didn't. My goal is, and what I'm working on right now, is to kind of offer myself in a consultancy, not only to assist businesses and how they deal with the homeless, but to also be a resource for those that are trying to assist the homeless community, whether through their job or through other homeless services. And so that is what I'm working on, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to kind of get that up and going. So while I'm working on that on the back end, so when I'm not doing this content, it's part of the reason why I'm doing lives instead of doing long form content like I have been, is so that I can have that extra time to start going on different platforms and connecting with individuals, and start marketing myself so that I can actually start, making my own money. Because eventually, what I want to do is form all of this under a for-profit LLC that is a charitable business, and I want to be able to give at least 70% of everything that I generate to charitable causes that will benefit the homeless. And having been homeless and understanding how it really works, I think it will give me more of an opportunity to really, push to assist those that are really doing good things, like Ayana over in New Jersey, or Homeless Entrepreneur. He's an international NGO. Organizations like that. I want to be able to make sure to use my platform to help, because if we're ever going to get rid of homelessness and end homelessness, it starts with the donor class, and it starts with educating not just the donor class but the political class, and just society in general, and including the legal class, because the homeless are constantly interacting with the police. The homeless are constantly are being uh, um are being harvested because of, what's up, Joanna? Harvested because of political laws that are being passed that are directly targeting the homeless. And there has to be a more humane, more effective way to be able to deal with homelessness, and to be able to those that really are homeless because they want to be. Those are the ones that should be allowed to be out there, but also live by a certain set of rules that allows them to bring harmony to where they're at. And those that didn't want to be homeless, that had no intention of being homeless, they need to be able to have the safety nets and the resources. We're not talking about housing first, we're talking about hope and opportunity. Okay. And so it's important, if we're going to tackle the homeless issue, this is how we solve it. Because we can't just keep giving money and not really understanding the full ramifications of those donations that we're making. Because when you give to a not-for-profit, how much of that actually makes it to the homeless? What are they giving to the homeless? Are they giving them inferior products? Is it just to keep them coming back so that they can feel good about themselves, about helping the homeless? Or are they actually doing things that are effective in helping the homeless? But you won't know unless you talk to the homeless. But nobody wants to talk to us because they know what's best for us before we even know what's best for us. And that's not always the case. All right, guys. I am going to see. Uh, so it looks like I've one last live stream for the weekend tonight, and I will see you in tonight's live stream. It's 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, or excuse me, 4:30 uh, Arizona time, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We've almost got to a point where we can do lighting. So we might be able to start it a little bit later, because I know a lot of you guys, you have a hard doing it as early as I have. Kind of, you don't get to be here for the whole thing. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here, and I will see you later tonight.